I have to say I was hugely disappointed at the remarks made here in the Assembly just a couple of weeks ago by Gregory Campbell when he set out to demean the Irish language and all of those who have a love for the language, including many thousands of school children here in the north and throughout the island. But it was absolutely appalling to hear him repeat some of the things that he said during the course of the DUP's party conference. And very disappointing to see that the leadership of the party was not prepared to rebuke or reprimand him for these remarks. A couple of weeks ago in the Assembly, I said that there were people in the DUP benches who were full of hatred for the Irish language. People who hated all things Irish, who were Islamophobic, and who quite clearly don't appear to appreciate the responsibilities that politicians have to represent everybody within the community. The level of homophobia also within that party is of huge concern also. So I think that, at a time whenever Peter Robinson and myself are trying to implement strategies which are about together building a united community, it's hugely disappointing to hear this sort of language being used. And I suppose in many ways for you who were at the conference and the people who have been reporting on this conference since, the only thing that people will remember will be Gregory Campbell's contribution to that party conference. And if the DUP don't see how damaging that is for them as a political party, then I think that from our perspective, that sends a very, very negative message. I also think it sends a very negative message right into the heart of the talks that we're presently engaged in. Raises serious questions for many people as to whether or not we're dealing with people who are serious about finding a resolution to the huge challenges that we face and which people on the outside of this building demand of their politicians that we find resolutions to. As always, we will continue in the talks to do our best, to be positive, to be constructive, to find ways forward, to be moderate in our arguments and the cases that we put, and to recognise that there are people out there listening to every single word that we say. So, this can't be passed over as comedy. Under no circumstances can it be passed over as comedy. It was absolutely appalling in my view, and there's absolutely nothing funny about it. So this isn't a time for making excuses. This is a time for recognising the damage that has been done, and it's also a time for people to show leadership and to take action to ensure that this never happens again.
Unless the DUP provides you with a different message, are the talks doomed?
Well, people will make up their own mind and judgment about the prospects of success or failure in these talks. We always engage in talks with a view to finding solutions, to finding a way forward. We did so during the course of the Haas negotiations, and we're doing so again in the course of these negotiations. So I'm not going to say that the talks are doomed, because if the talks are doomed, why would I participate in them? Why would we engage, as we will do on Wednesday and the following week? We're in there to find a way forward, to find solutions. But in finding solutions, all parties have to face up to their responsibilities. And where there are people within the ranks of political parties who harbour these Islamophobic, homophobic and anti-Irish tendencies, then that represents a real challenge for those parties, particularly in the context of whenever they say they're trying to reach out to everyone. That represents a direct contradiction to the statements that are being made that the desire is to be inclusive and to reach out to everybody within society. We as a party in Sinn Féin are very determined to reach out to everybody. I've bent over backwards over the course of recent times in reaching out to the unionist community, meeting with Queen Elizabeth on 3 occasions. You know, it wasn't easy for many Republicans to accept, but what I was trying to do was show respect to the unionist, loyalist people of the North, and to give leadership as someone who is in a position of leadership within these institutions. You know, I expect the same degree of reciprocation from everybody else, and unfortunately at this time we're not getting that. In fact, about 2 hours ago I came out of my office to go into a lift, and Gregory was about to get into the same lift when he saw me, and he turned away. So what does that say about Gregory? That he wasn't even able to come into a lift alongside me. I think it says a lot more about Gregory than it says about me. I went into the lift, and if he had went into the lift, I would have went into the lift. So it's time to grow up, it's time to show maturity, it's time to stop playing to the lowest common denominator, and it is a time to give leadership.
That's it, folks.